Impact Audio presents The End of Woman by Carrie Gress, read for you by Jillian Monroe. What you most want to find will be found where you least want to look. Jordan Peterson. Introduction: Vulnerability and Patriarchy. Sometime in the 1800s, a young English woman, Hester Vaughan, immigrated to the United States, lured across the Atlantic by a man who turned out to be already married. She found a job as a scullery maid and was raped by her employer. Pregnant and forced to leave her position, she went from place to place until it was time for her child to be born. With scarcely a penny to her name, she paid for an attic room in a hotel with a broken window. There was no heat. She gave birth alone during a blizzard. Hester delivered the baby and tied a crude knot in the umbilical cord to prevent them both from bleeding to death. The baby then froze to death, its tiny body stuck to the floorboards. Hester was taken to prison and tried for infanticide. It is hard for contemporary Western women and men to wrap their minds around these dreadful kinds of stories. They come from a time when such incidents were all but commonplace. A woman was just a few fateful steps away from a life of destitution, prostitution, prison, or starvation. For many of the early feminists, these stories rightfully dredged up interior anger and courage and whetted their desire to do something, anything, to help women. The woman's question was, and still remains, a question about the vulnerability of women. Although we may not see such stark examples of women's weakness in our wealthy society today, the vulnerability of being a woman has not gone away. That vulnerability is perhaps most apparent just after a woman has given birth, with her body reeling from delivery and a helpless, tiny child needing her body, her warmth, and her tenderness to keep it alive. Motherhood makes women vulnerable. Our weakness is locked up in our fertility, our hormones, our bodily cycles, and all the functions required to give life to another. This vulnerability is what women have been struggling against since the beginning of time. Feminists have embarked upon their own twofold approach to mitigating this vulnerability. The first step is to help women become more like men, independent and unconstrained by nature. The second is to end the patriarchy, which has seemingly kept women in this vulnerable state from the dawn of civilization to the present era. It seems a simple enough solution, but is it working? After over a century of feminist progress and legal victories against the patriarchal oppression, do women finally have it all? The problem of patriarchy. Smash the patriarchy. This once radical slogan is now a familiar refrain at women's marches and public protests. Most such events feature this chant, shouted with gusto, with similar slogans plastered on signs. Read books and fight the patriarchy. It's a beautiful day to smash the patriarchy. The patriarchy isn't going to smash itself. Hex the patriarchy. Grab 'em by the patriarchy. Aside from sporting anti-patriarchy merchandise, such as t-shirts and bumper stickers, women have agitated, protested, paraded, published, lobbied, and voted with determination to finally rid the world of the patriarchal menace. Merriam-Webster defines patriarchy as social organization marked by the supremacy of the father in the clan or family, the legal dependence of wives and children, and the reckoning of descent and inheritance in the male line, and broadly, control by men of a disproportionately large share of power.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?